So welcome back to Comedy or Worse. Yay! I'm here with a very special guest.
Hi, I'm so honored, Aaron.
Oh, this is the first time that's failed. I point to you and you say your name.
Oh, I'm Wendy Wilkins.
There's been times where people had awkward silence and then they realized. It's just a fun thing. Just because, like, even though I know who people are, I'm having them on my podcast. Sometimes they're like, how do I pronounce their name? Even if their name is easy.
I love this thing. Gets both sides.
Yeah.
Audio.
Yeah,
That's perfect.
Anderson gave it to me.
Oh, that's sweet. Free is even better.
Yes. And then I was like, well, how am I going to use it? And then I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just hook it up to the laptop. So it gets the audio. Mm-hmm. It's just easier just to record video too, even though it's bad video. Even if it was on a good spot, it would be like.
I'm going to do an angle because that's better for like this section of me. I'm a middle-aged woman. This section of me, it just is like, okay.
Whatever direction you want, that's fine.
Okay.
When I switched to video, one person was like, oh, I didn't know there was going to be video. I don't want video. I'm like, oh my God.
So did you have to put a
cartoon?
Had to put a cartoon up?
Oh no, it was a mess. But whatever, I fixed it. All right, so do you use a stage name?
That's slightly complicated. I was born Wendy Wilkins, and then in my 30s, my dad found out who his real father was, and that was a whole big thing. So then and I was a little feminist since I was a kid, so like I was like, I'm keeping my last name. But then when I found out the last name is from this asshole guy who we thought was my grandfather, I was like, I kind of don't want it. But I've already been established and professionally as Wendy Wilkins. So legally, I did change my last name to what my real last name was and then hyphenated it with my ex-husband's name. And that is my legal name now. So Wendy Wilkins is basically, even though it was my legal name, is now a stage name.
Wow, that's cool.
But there's another Wendy Wilkins in Los Angeles.
Oh.
She's Australian. And she got into SAG 6 months before me. So I had to put my middle name in, which I kind of adore because it's very upstate New York country. So it's Wendy Jean Wilkins.
Okay.
But that not for comedy. She doesn't do comedy. She does all the other things because I'm a director and a writer and a producer and all. And she's more of an actress, host, writer, director, producer. So she's Wendy Wilkins. And I'm Wendy Jean Wilkins for acting and writing. But for comedy, I'm the only Wendy Wilkins. And right now, I'm the only Wendy in the LA comedy scene.
Wow.
That's not famous like Wendy Liebman, you know. So I love it because I'm the only Wendy. And then some dude from New Orleans was named Wendy. And he was here for like a month. And he kept getting pulled at the Comedy Store set of the night mic. And I was like, no, you cannot be a dude and come here with the name Wendy. Is that your birth name? I want to see your birth certificate. I was like so angry. And I never got picked. But he left. So he was a wackadoo, like old shred metal guy with long, greasy. He was one of the perfect for the Comedy Store atmosphere. So if you see my name, usually if I have to put Jean, I put it in brackets, which I kind of like the style of it, Wendy. I got to make new business cards. Yeah, do the brackets, yeah.
So did you get addicted to comedy right away?
You know, I come from a long line of like jokesters. Mm-hmm. My grandma was like a dirty old lady jokester, and then my dad always told jokes and was always like, he wasn't like, you know, dad joke stuff, even though he had dad jokes, but he wasn't dad joke stuff. But he always kept things light like that. Yeah. And from the trauma he came from, it's very understandable. Like, he's a very different person than that asshole Wilkins. Anywho, so, but by the time I was in 5th grade, I knew all the dirty jokes and all the dead baby jokes and the bus driver jokes and kind of like, you know, the American, you know, thing that all kids have. Like, they all learn it, even though one is in Alaska and another one's in Florida. We all know those dumb jokes in 5th grade. Okay. So he would have his friends over, and then he would go, tell that joke, you know. And, like, a lot of them back in the late 70s, early 80s were racist, and I didn't know because I was a little 10-year-old telling these jokes. But him and his friends would just cackle at this little kid. And then if I got to a swear word, I would look at my dad and he'd go ahead. And then I would do the swear. It was great. He would give me permission to be funny. But then my parents divorced when I was 7, so we lived with my mom on the weekends. That was a whole nother story. But she never had a problem with us watching anything comedy-wise. Even though a lot of the jokes were too adult, we still watched all of them. And she was right there, and we would laugh. And if we didn't understand a joke, if it was a sexual nature, she'd go, come back in 5 years. Like, that was her standard, very boomer parent response to anything uncomfortable.
Well, that's better than figuring out yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a timeline.
Well, one of her friends schooled her because the term of menage a trois came up in a conversation. I'm like, what's that? And my mom goes, come back in 5 years. And her friend goes, no, tell her now. It's better she knows. More likely she's going to get grossed out by it and then not wonder what it is and everything. And so my mom's like, okay. So she told me, and I went, ew. And she goes, and now see, she doesn't care about it, whatever that word is, So that woman taught my mom a lesson, which was cool. So, so then we just grew up watching lots of comedy. And my dad worked at the cable company, so we had free cable. So I got every channel and every comedy special. We watched them all, every comedy special there was. And in 5th grade, my best friend Joy and I tried to do a comedy duo. It lasted about like one playground session because then we had creative differences. But we loved Robin Williams and Mork and Mindy, and they had a board game and called Mork for Mork, and there was an egg involved. I need to find that at some vintage place, but we played that in the playground, and then we were trying to come up with our act. It didn't work. So, sorry, that's my phone. It's very loud. I can put it in the other room. So 5th grade. But then in high school, I think it just sort of was like tickling in my brain that I might want to do it. Yeah. And then when I got into community college, and I always was the jokester too. Like I was a marching band. I was the one joking around all the time, telling jokes and doing stuff. So by the time I got into community college, I got into the theater department, and I was like, I think I want to do this. And we had a comedy club in my hometown. Wow. That was in a Ramada Inn, and it had a banquet room that had a bar, and that's where it was just this kind of Friday and Saturday nights. This guy put it on. He would get comics from New York City. So I saw Rosie O'Donnell. I say Jay Moore when he was 19. I saw Skippy from Family Ties. He was a dick. And like there's a whole bunch of people I got to see in the late 80s, 87, 88, 89. Wow. And the guy knew. He knew I wanted to be a comic, but I didn't know I wanted to be a comic yet. Sure. So he would let me just pay $5 to come in and watch. And I sat in the front row, and he told the waitresses, don't make her buy drinks. And I just sat there and watched. And then one day he's like, you let me know when you want to go on stage. I was like, no. But like most comics, we watch it for like a year before we actually get the balls to get on stage. And then at the end of that year, someone had an open mic for music, comedy, or poetry. Yeah. And I went, and I was the only comic. And this guy who ran it was like an old folk guy, and he talked for about 10 minutes in between every act. Oh, wow. Just loved hearing the sound of his voice. And finally, after about an hour and a half, I got up. I did my 5 minutes. I sat down, and I was very proud of myself. I had one friend with me, and then he went on for about 10 minutes, like dissecting everything I did in my act. I was like, okay, I think we watched one more act and then we left, and I was like slightly traumatized, but I was like, this is not going to deter me. Yeah. And then when I got to university, I did, there was like on-campus things. I did a couple of open mics there, and then they had a contest at the local comedy club in Poughkeepsie, New York. It was a comedy chain called Bananas, and it was funniest college student in the Hudson Valley. And I got up, and it was like, there was Vassar, there was Marist College, there was Culinary Institute, there was a couple of community colleges, my college, SUNY New Paltz, at even West Point. Wow. And there was about 15 of us got up. The only two from my college was my friend Stacy and I. He got first, and I got third. We swept the competition. And then I came out to LA and started when I was 23, just turned 23, and been here ever since. So that was 1992. I know. Were you alive then? Were you born yet?
Yes, I was born in 71.
Oh, you look younger. Oh my God, we're Gen Xers. Yeah.
Sure, the forgotten generation.
I was 69, yes. Way forgotten.
Which is fine. I don't care. I don't need to be in these arguments. It's like watching my popcorn.
So when did you start?
So when I was 47 years old.
Wow, that's great. No,
I
just
feel like it would have been nice to start in my 30s. If I would have started too early in my 20s or something, if a heckler or another comic, the host came and roasted me afterwards, I would be shredded. I know he's joking, but why am I crying? I just wouldn't have been able to handle it.
I had my first heckler. I got off stage and I cried, and everybody yelled at that guy and shamed him and made him go. But it tears you apart that first time you get heckled because you're just trying so hard.
It depends on your age, your emotional maturity.
Yeah. But I think even when you started at 47, the first time you got heckled, did it do a little bit of damage?
I mean, it made me upset and mad, but it wouldn't be like before where I would actually cry about it.
No, I know, but still, but now, when I get a heckler, it's an opportunity, whereas it used to take away from me, and now it actually builds me up. Do you feel that way?
I'm trying to be better about going with the flow. Well, I guess it's hard for me because I'm hard of hearing. So, but there will be times where, I listen back to a recording where I said something funny back to somebody, and I'm like, that wasn't really that loud.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm I guess I don't know what it is. I guess it's because when you're hard of hearing, you're getting only pieces of what people are saying, and your brain is putting it together.
Yeah.
And the worst is when you're wrong.
Right. But that's an opportunity too, because I actually have hearing issues as well. Right. And your brain is like a slow Apple computer early version, because it's like you're translating. Yeah. But that's also an opportunity when you think you hear one thing and it's completely wrong, and then that actually gets everybody laughing, at least who heard it. So then there's an opportunity to build on that too. And I do that in regular life a lot, let alone on stage.
Well, I guess I gotta get better at that because sometimes people will laugh if I do something wrong, but I'll realize there's a disconnect. You know what I mean? So that will kind of throw me off a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm like, shoot, did I hear that wrong? That's great. They're laughing at it.
And actually, even addressing it that way is actually an opportunity. Or you can be like, hey, let's reset. What'd you say? I heard something different, Right. That's actually really fun to actually, because that's a universal thing. Everybody is misheard people and replied to things. So, that's that university of us being on stage, connecting with an audience, makes it more intimate, because we've all gone through that.
Yeah, maybe I should start even with a joke where it's it's just amazing how many, I don't know if it's people are saying things that really aren't that important, because when you say, what did you say? I really didn't hear you. I'm hard of hearing. A high percentage of people don't want to repeat what they say.
Right, exactly. And that's the best part, is most people don't. And that's how you disarm people who say racist or homophobic stuff. You go, I'm sorry, what did you say? And making them repeat it, then they actually aren't as brave as they were when they first said it. And then it makes them sort of back down and then you're like, oh, that's what I thought you said. You shouldn't have said that, kind of thing. And not that I'm more I don't give a fuck. We're in our 50s, and I don't give a fuck anymore.
Right, but you've also been doing comedy for a while.
I did, but I gave it up for 10 years because it was kicking my ass. Oh. By the way, did you lose your hearing because you played in bands?
No, when I was a young child, I had an ear infection and blew out my eardrum.
Oh, wow.
And then, just getting older, that compounded. I think things wear out too.
Yeah.
I went to the doctor's in my early 40s, and they said that, you just have a collapsed eardrum. He's like, you ever done this?
Yeah.
It's like I can hear him better.
Right.
When I do that, but it immediately closes again.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So I think they said they could do an operation and be like, I could have like almost like normal hearing.
Or you can get your hearing aids, right?
Right. Yeah,
so it's either you could do an operation or get hearing aids.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So
I just have to like save up the money and commit
Yeah.
to buying hearing. It's crazy because they took hearing aids off of prescription, which is great, but I feel like they're still so expensive.
yeah,
The price hasn't come down yet.
Absolutely criminal, the American health system.
Like,
we all know it. It's dumb as shit.
I just bought Apple AirPods that have like this supposed mode, and I was like, it's probably not going to fix the situation. But you put them in, and you can like have it boost conversation.
Oh wow!
But it doesn't. Even though I have it on that mode, it's like it's not smart enough to like work all the time when you want it to.
Oh yeah.
So it's like
there should be a button where you can hit it.
Now,
yeah.
Now I have something in my ear that's blocking. If it's working, it's great.
Right.
It's like, oh yeah, this is perfect. It's not too loud. I mean, you also
Right.
control the volume with the thing.
Right.
But the few times I tried it, when it worked, it was great. But then it wasn't working all the time. So maybe So I guess I got to just buy dedicated hearing aids. And I guess the other thing that I noticed is that people are like thinking I have headphones in, and they wouldn't want to talk to me. I don't know to bug Aaron. I don't know why he's out here mingling with everybody with headphones in. So I had to constantly be like, I mean, I only tried it once, but
Right.
I was like, I noticed people
Right.
looking at me. I'm like, yeah, these are to help my hearing. They're not really working, so now I'm gonna just take them out. Yeah, so I guess if I had actual hearing aids, then they look like hearing aids too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So people aren't thinking that you're just tuning them out.
Right. Did your parents smoke in the house
Let's see.
when you were a kid?
Yeah.
That, I mean, as adults who have hearing issues, have ear, nose, and throat problems, I think it was 10, 15 years ago, they discovered the number one cause of children with ear, nose, and throat problems is secondhand smoke. Sure. So us kids, us Gen X in the 70s, our parents ruined our hearing.
Yeah.
It's not fun. Yeah, it's not fun.
It sucks. Like my stepdad that raised me also smoked marijuana every day.
Oh.
And that's even worse for you.
Yeah.
Even though there's people that say, "Oh no, it's better than smoking."
Yeah.
Like,
No, it's not.
It's
No
20
smoke
times
is good.
worse.
No smoke is good.
Why do you want
Yeah.
to inhale smoke particles?
Yeah.
Burning stuff. Anyway, we're here to talk about you.
Ah. I like talking about you too, though.
Well, thank you. Well,
Do anybody ever ask you questions?
This was nice that this train of thought came up. It was kind of new. Like when people ask me the same questions I'm asking them, it's like, well, that's obvious. All the comics are going to ask me the same questions I'm asking them. I don't want to answer them every time. But it's like a trade-off because there's going to be people that listen to this podcast, watch this podcast,
Right.
because you're on it.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So
Hopefully.
they're not going to go back and listen to the old episode.
Right.
To find out about me.
You're going to have new listeners
Right,
every
exactly.
time. So a little bit of overlap is fine. Yeah.
Exactly. Anyway, what is your writing process for comedy?
It's usually what happens is when I'm doing something inane, like driving, washing the dishes, showering, anything like that, that's when ideas pop in my head.
Yeah.
And I have bits of paper. I have little pieces of paper. I have in this one I'm a Virgo, so everything's very organized. And then I pull it, I write down the joke. Right when I'm falling asleep, I'll get a lot of them, and I do it down. And then I gather them all up, and then I try to once a week, though depending on my schedule, it may happen once every other week. But I take all those bits, and I write them out, into my book, I have all these little lists. I write down all the new jokes I need to write out. Pardon me. And then I have a joke book for set lists, and I have a joke book that is the handwritten jokes out. And then I write them all out. And usually between the process of me thinking of the joke and then me writing it out, there is a rewrite process. And then usually from there, I do it on stage. When I'm too busy, I think of the joke, I do it on stage. I do it a lot on stage for the next 2 weeks. I do all the premises and jokes in the next 2 weeks, and then I will write them all out in my book. And the process, usually every 2 weeks, I have about new 5 minutes, and that's just bits, new bits that I've thought about that I need to work out. And then also I combine them with old bits I haven't done. And I'll go periodically every 3 or 4 months, I'll go through all my old joke books and go, oh, I need to kind of refresh that, maybe have a new take on that or whatever. So then I mix it. So every 2 weeks I have a new bit that I work all my mics and all the shows and everything, the shows that I can work on bits, not just like the big shows where I have to do my regular set. Sure. And then I write it out in the book. And usually, because I'm also a screenwriter, when I go to write it in the book, it comes out, the best version of it is in that written book. What I do on stage after that will be a combination of what I did before and after the writing. And I go back on stage. Sometimes I'll have a very long bit with lots of things, and then I try to do it with a little bit of notes, and then I let it go. And I go back to it and I say, what do I remember? And that's the most important part of the joke, is the stuff that I remember. It's not every little, that's just the writer in me is writing all the things out. But this is, so that's what I do. Sometimes though I have this thing where I'll go to bed not thinking of anything particular, and then I'll wake up with a joke written. Like my brain will think and figure out a fully complete joke. And I wake up, and that's the first thing I do is I have to write it down. I have so many of them where my brain, while I'm sleeping, figures out jokes. So that's, my brain's always been that way. Even when I quit for 10 years, I still was writing jokes, and I was just putting them in my scripts, but they were still popping constantly in my head.
So, have you lost jokes?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Especially when you're in the shower or...
Well, I mean, you could just, like lost a whole notebook or something.
No, I haven't lost a notebook. Once, when I first got to LA, I had a briefcase that I took everywhere. It was this nice briefcase that was kind of cool for the early 90s. And I had all my joke books in there, which I didn't have that many. I had one joke book. But I had lists of all the comics I would see that I thought were funny in there. And, big comics or, regular open mics and stuff. And then my friend and I went to a bookstore, and I left it in his car, and some homeless teens broke in and stole it. So that early notebook would have been great to have had, to see who I thought was funny and all my early jokes. So that early joke book went away, stolen. But I had, other than that, no. Even when I took a break for 10 years, they all just went in a box. And then when I came back to comedy, what I did is I took all of those notebooks out and I read through all of them. And any joke, most jokes went on 3x5 cards. And then I put them on my bed and I went through them all going, I can't do that one anymore because the technology is not there, like answering machines and, other stuff like that. And then I pulled a whole bunch because I wasn't single anymore. Even though I was divorced, I wasn't single anymore. Those single jokes don't work. And then I took a bunch of just other kind of jokes, filtered it all out, and then the meat of it, I went and I go, okay, I'm going to do these 10 jokes for the next couple of weeks and see if they still work. And then I went to the next batch and the next batch, stuff that was like similar themes and stuff like that. So, and it was incredible to go through and see what jokes still worked and what jokes did not work because of, societal norms have changed. Like I had this one joke about a guy breaking up with me and then he dated somebody fatter than me. And then I go, I would have had the extra fries. And nobody liked that when I came. because it's like body shaving. Nobody liked it. And I was like, it's
they're
more about
afraid to
me
laugh.
not being fat enough, you know?
They're afraid to laugh.
Yeah, exactly. It was during the immediate wokeness, you know, like when I came back. So it was like that joke died on the vine, even though it was a huge joke before. Like it was, you know, it was not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's comics that had specials that they can't do.
Yeah, exactly. So
That's really interesting. I would suggest putting everything in the cloud.
that's the problem with the cloud, because the cloud could go away. And I love typing.
Well, I mean, as a backup.
Yes, but I like
Just
type.
save it on the computer and have it on a hard drive.
Well, that's the problem. When I write my scripts on my computer, and I love that connection, when I write my jokes, there's something magical, because I've tried to write jokes into a computer.
Look, I'm not saying to eliminate the process.
I know.
I'm saying add on.
Yes, but I don't have that time to take it from the book into the computer. Like,
Right.
I separate.
But are you recording every set?
Yes.
Okay.
And that is
At
then
least
going
that's
onto the computer, and then it's going onto a hard drive that's backed up double.
At least that's
So,
something.
yes. So, yes, I do have a...
Because I've lost, when I just started off
Right.
writing it down, like I lost jokes.
Oh, I should have brought it with me, but I have this little plastic, like, envelope thing with a zip top, and, like, everything comedy is in there, and people laugh at me. You can see through it. It's a see-through, clear plastic thing, and I just bought some new ones, and that's where everything goes. That's my set list book. I have sheets of all the improv and comedy store mics and what I've done and what I need to redo, and, like, I keep track of that all. I have new jokes I need to do, old jokes I need to bring back, jokes I need to write out, jokes I gotta go work with on my writers groups. I have 2 writers groups I do, so I have it very organized in my thing. And then jokes that'll never go anywhere. I have like one little piece of paper sheets. They're more like, if I had a journal, they would probably go in there, but my stand-up book is my journal.
Sure.
Yeah, so I do understand what you're saying is to protect yourself, but I'm so adamant. Like, I've even left my notebook at a bar, my little satchel thing, and I immediately called them the next day, and they're like, oh, yeah, we found it. And so I was like, ever since I did that, I was like, I'm never losing this fucker again.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, I lost one joke, but then I was able to just remember it.
Well, that's good.
That was nice. I mean, I also, as I remembered it, it got changed.
Right.
It's better, hopefully.
You know what I just did?
No.
I went to tell a joke I've told like 1,000 times,
Yeah.
and I forgot one part of it. And I was like, how? And like, do you know the episode of The Office where Andy can't remember Kit Kat Bar? He's trying to do the Kit Kat Bar theme, and he can't remember the line Kit Kat Bar. He thinks it's everything else. And that's what it was for me. For like a week and a half, I was like, why the fuck is my brain blocking this one little section of this joke? And so I literally went back in my notebook, found it when I told it last, and listened to that setting. And I was like, that's it. And it's a funny thing because that little part of that joke, I wrote the first part 25 years ago, and the second part I wrote probably about 5 years ago. Wow. It's so funny. I had that first part forever and ever and ever. Yeah. And then when I came back to comedy, all of a sudden I had this other part, and I'm like, oh, they go together. Yeah. And it was perfect. It was great. That's why I'm like, I always like going back through my old notebooks, because all of a sudden it'll connect with something new that I've done, and then it make a better set. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I definitely need to do more homework on stuff. There's times where it's like, well, I guess I start with right now I'm like trying to do more real and personal stuff.
I like it.
And it's like almost like starting over.
Yeah.
Because like it's also like my writing process was getting all like off, because like I'm like, it was hard to write it down, so I was just going up there, oh, I'm going to talk about this. Right. And then I was just doing it without any written out at all. Right. And then a couple nights ago, I went up and I told a story, and I like I told like, basically I spoiled the story, and then I'm like, oh well, obviously I need to start writing stuff down so I don't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
There are jokes that I have that can't go together. Like they have to go in two different sets because the one will tip off. It's more about talking about how I can't have kids. So one joke section, if I tell this one part, I can't tell this other joke because I've already spoiled the fact that I can't have kids. Right. So if I do that, then I can't do the other joke. So and then sometimes I'll forget and then tell it because I'm in the flow and it works right, and then I'm like, well, I can't do that joke, so then I have to go down a different route. Right. And I'm very much, because I'm a Virgo, I'm very much like, I will write out my set list, but I don't have to adhere to it depending on what goes on in the room. Usually I like to tag off the last comic and make fun of myself. I don't try to make fun of them, but I tag off a subject they've talked about, and then I do a joke about me, and then that makes the show flow better.
Oh, yeah. It's like you're in the moment.
Yeah.
It feels like the audience is like, oh, they're just riffing.
Right. They're all part of a club, and they're all doing this. Yeah. So,
yeah, definitely. But the other thing is that, let's see, forget. I lost.
So you don't write much down? You do a lot of writing on stage.
That's the thing. It's like almost feels like I started off doing it all written. Oh, the notes on stage. Okay. What I found is I had to stop using notes on stage.
Right.
At all, because at first I was going through a cycle of bringing notes on stage and then weaning myself off the notes and going up there with no notes. And then there was one show I just had my notes up there and I couldn't remember anything.
Yeah, because you were your crutch.
I was using the crutch, and then I'm like, okay, that's it. No more notes at all. I'm not even going up with bullet points.
Right.
And it really is helping.
Well, that's good. Like some shows for me, like especially when I'm working out new stuff, especially when it's a like no stakes dive bar show, wherever. Like I'll have the notes there and I play into it. Like I will use it into my aesthetic. But I've also been doing a lot more, and this just comes from me coming back after about 5-6 years now. I'm doing a lot more. I have an idea what I want to say, but I'm not going to plan it out. I'm going to go up and go with how I feel and what comes next and everything, and I like that. But then there are some times when I just want that sheet there because I'm like, oh, I'm trying to get a set in this order, and I'm trying to remember exactly what goes next because I think this is the strongest it'll be. And I'll use it for a little bit and then I let it go because I'm like, I have to remember it. But that's good that if it helps you better not to have the notes, and don't do it.
To me, is my reaction to that is that you just haven't practiced enough.
Those jokes.
Right.
Those jokes. That's usually when I have a list. It's those jokes I'm working out, the new ones. My regular set, I never need a list. I know exactly what I need to do. But sometimes I'm working on a whole thing for something bigger. You know what I mean?
I totally understand, but I don't know if I'm ever going to bring notes back up.
That's good. That's good.
I mean, there are exceptions like that. There's this one mixed mic, and sometimes I do comedy songs. And
I'll that's perfect.
Up there.
Yeah.
It's a more unacceptable situation, and I don't feel as awkward about having notes on stage and such. I don't know.
I don't have any offense to it. Like I know people are like, you should never have notes or anything like that. I think it's up to the individual. Sometimes it plays good with them. Sometimes it doesn't. Sure. Like it just doesn't matter.
I just feel like I'm too addicted to it.
Oh, good. Well, then knowing that about yourself.
Kind of like not do it.
Yeah. What I don't like is newbie people who come up with a list, because I'm like, you're starting off on the wrong foot. Come up with 3 minutes. If you can't remember 3 minutes, especially if you're shitty, you shouldn't be here. Like, really just commit to those 3 minutes and then go from there, and you'll be fine. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, too, like, is my writing style changing? Because, like, I do like just talking about my real life and
Right.
not having it all written out.
Right.
You know, so maybe I will do that somewhat.
That's great that you're evolving that way. That's how it should be,
Yeah.
you know?
But because also it feels more freeing to be more like in the moment.
Yeah.
I remember like early on, comics would compliment me. Oh my goodness, I love how you just power through no matter what. And I'm like, that's not what you should do. I mean, yes, sometimes I would power through and people would catch on.
Right.
And they're like, oh, he's, you know, they would either, I don't know, they would just like buy in or like the puns would finally make them crack or whatever.
Right.
But it's like, no, that's an insult. You're supposed to be reactive to the audience and be in the moment. And go, oh, I guess you don't like puns.
I love that. That's great.
I remember there was one show where I like was doing puns, and then I noticed that the audience didn't like them, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll do a different joke, and I just did another joke with puns.
But in that song, that's brilliant.
But it didn't work either. So
it doesn't always have to work. Here's the thing. And I tell this to younger comics who get off stage and they're so upset that nobody laughed. All that kind of stuff.
No,
I'm like, it's
more
not
about, it's not just about them not laughing. It's are they paying attention?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're gonna be paying attention. They should be.
Okay.
Unless you're in like a dive bar and you do ambush comedy, which we do a lot of that.
Sure.
Yeah, no one knows it's happening. So I don't mind silence. It's actually a space for me when I'm on stage, if there's silence, for me to go, okay, how do I work on this? How do I get out of this situation? Because there's going to be jokes that die in the vine even though they've killed everywhere else.
Right.
There's jokes that you do a joke forever and then all of a sudden you do it and it doesn't work. You're just like, you're thrown. But then you're like, okay, let me see what...
And I think what some comics don't understand is that they think they're doing it the same way,
right?
But they're not,
right?
And it's very clear that you don't like that joke anymore.
Yeah, so you let it go for a while. You put it away.
Stop doing that joke.
Yeah, you put it away for a minute.
It always works.
Yeah, you just let it go. You go sit in the corner for a bit, and then bring it back later, or put it in a different way. I have a joke about how my dad is a football coach. And he described me once to a friend as solid. So I have a big preamble bit, and that's the punch. So now, all of a sudden, I go, I'm a thick girl. I'm what my football coach dad lovingly calls solid. So I took the whole meat of this other joke that works constantly, has been working since I got back to comedy for the last 6-7 years. But now I've reduced it down to like 5 words or 10 words, whatever, and it still works great. And I kind of like that freedom that if I do one thing, I could do it that way or I can do it this other way.
Yeah.
So I love how jokes morph, how they change and become better or different. That's the wonderful thing. Like once you do music, people write a song and it becomes popular. You sort of have to play it that way until somebody else covers it in a different way.
Yeah.
But comedy, no matter what, we could tell the same joke 100 different times and still get a laugh. Yeah. And that's the great thing. Until I guess you put it on an album and then everybody wants you to. But here's the thing, you put it on an album, you never have to tell that joke again, That's the precious thing. You do a special and you never have to tell that joke again. Yeah, so, I don't know. Am I giving you any useful information?
No, this is great. I don't always get people that are actually going to help. Like I'm helping them. Okay, so who is the funniest person in your life right now? It doesn't have to be a comic.
Right now, the funniest person in my life is there's a comic. He is a comic in Los Angeles who makes me laugh every time. I love everything about him. He is a very different cat. His name's Callahan Welsh. And his online presence, his stage, everything about him is absurd. And he's always like, I'm never going to make it. I'm terrible. I'm quitting comedy. He says that every day. So like, he's sort of like this kind of defeatist person who wants it so badly, but he is truly an original voice on stage. Back in the 80s, the people I remember now, there's plenty of great joke tellers, but the people I remember now are the people that were the very specific, no one else like them characters. It was Robin, it was Rodney, it was Judy Tenuta, it was Bobcat Goldthwait, it was Howie Mandel, it was Jake Johansson, like all these people who had a very different, Stephen Wright, different style on stage and different point of view that was unlike anybody else. Everybody were all telling jokes, but they were characters of themselves. It was amazing. And I love them. And he is like that. He is his own thing. And you're like that. When I first saw you, I was like, I love this person. No one else is doing this. No one else has the same stage presence.
Well, it's like I don't know if I could do it any other way.
Exactly.
But I have one up there with a story and did a different voice.
Yeah.
And it worked. And I just stopped doing it because I'm like, this is a lot of work.
Yeah.
And also I'm like, I'm doing a southern accent, but I can easily offend someone and like, he's doing a black character. It's like, no, it's just southern.
Those are the people I'm attracted to in comedy, or just like when I was married, the reason why I married my ex-husband who was not a comic was because he was the funniest person. He made me laugh so hard, even when I was pissed at him, he still could make me laugh. And that's, to me, is the most important thing. I've dated some trolls, some homunculuses, but they made me laugh. Yeah. And that, to me, is the most important thing. Callahan, the way he thinks and the way he's on stage is amazing to me. Right. Funny. Other people find him annoying. Not me. I think he's an original voice in a sea of unoriginality. And I love watching what he does. Oh, yeah. Now, there's a few other people up in Los Angeles that are like that. There's Catherine Yoon. She's down here a lot, I think, sometimes.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, she's so dark. She's Korean, and I don't think she's got a green paper, her paperwork, but like, I don't think she's American. I don't think she's become an American. So, but she is so dark. She's such an original voice. And yeah, there's Phil Morris, who's a musical comedy genius. Like, his shit is so fucking funny. Now, these people are the people that then inspire me to become funnier, to raise the bar, to make myself that much harder. Oops, sorry, I keep hitting the cord.
Oh, yeah, be careful.
Yeah, sorry. When I came back to comedy, my only rule is that I had to be funnier than the last time I got on stage. That's my only mantra I had for myself. Right. I have these goals each year. I have these, like, intentions each year that I come back, but they're not big. They're not big, lofty ones. And that was my problem my first time around. I had too big of a lofty, like, expectations for myself. But this time I have these I only do about a year out. And these are the things I want to accomplish this year. And I don't always accomplish them, but these are things I'm going to aim for. And it's only like 3 or 4 things. I don't do 1,000 things. I just do manageable things. Yeah. And I love that I have that. These small things, because these are things I can really work for and get, and it makes me very happy. Because back when I first did it, I started to hate comedy. That's why I quit it, and I said I'll just come back when it feels organic. And it just took 10 years and a divorce. Sure. So people that make me laugh, truly make me laugh, that I never see anybody else do, and they get up there and they tell the truth of them in their way, those are people I like. And that's why I always have liked you since the first time I saw you.
Oh, thank you very much.
I've always admired everything you do, because it is so specific and so you. That's the thing. I looked at it and I heard you and I went, that's him.
Also, I'm just trying to, like, do things like where I don't want people to see me off stage and go, oh, you're so different. It's like, okay, yeah, because I'm not putting it on.
I know, right?
Like,
This is
you want
me.
me to be on all
Yeah.
the time. Yeah, like, oh yeah, but we're just hanging out and
Right.
talking, and you make me laugh. It's like, well, you don't realize that 10 minutes went by.
Right.
And then I finally made you laugh.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
You know what else makes me laugh? Big guy is Ian Bagg. And Ian's been so generous when I came back because I knew him beforehand, and he gave me a bunch of opportunities. I'm so grateful. But sitting and watching Ian is like taking a college master's doctorate class in comedy.
Wow.
Just learning the crowd work and learning all of how he can put bits into a crowd work and how he can pull something out of somebody so he can do a bit. Like, it's incredible. Anybody get a chance, he's a must-see. Every comic should see him and what he does.
Nice.
He comes down here a bit, so you should come see him the next time he's here.
All right, cool. Yeah, I would be really interested. It would be nice if you could like change or get a hold of like old tapes of like people that had these unique voices, and because like I don't totally understand how they went and stuck to their gun.
Right.
Because you get advice from other comics, and some of them are bookers, and it's like, I get what you're saying, but I don't know if I'm ever. I tried occasionally. Oh, I know I look like whatever, but I can't do that.
Yeah. I think people get fucked up too much by the gatekeepers.
Yeah.
The gatekeepers. By the way, gatekeepers are only really there. Their lifespan in that position is only about 5 years. There are some exceptions, but really, that gatekeeper at that club or in that scene are only about 5 years, and then they go away. Another gatekeeper comes in and might have 180 different opinion on you, and so many gatekeepers. Callahan gets a little bit bogged down on gatekeepers, so he's like, well, this is what this gatekeeper, this booker says that I should do and everything. And I'm like, please stop listening.
Right.
If it's about conduct, that's one thing. But if you have a voice, your own voice, it's not going to fit every club. And yes, you might want to get in at that club, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're right for that club. But if you stick to you and what you're doing, you will succeed, because you're going to keep getting better at you to the point where that club who didn't want you when you were nobody, when you get some success, is going to be like, well, I guess we got to put them in now, because they actually figured out the way to match what we want. So gatekeepers, they have their own points of view, but they're one person. But if you're consistently making audiences laugh,
like a group think kind of mentality.
Well, then take it in. See, as a that's the benefit of being a screenwriter for 10 years, is that I would do these note sessions with other comics. We would have or other screenwriters. We'd have these meetings. I get feedback from, script competitions and stuff like that. And literally what you do, everybody says, you look through all of it, you retain the stuff that speaks to you, and you say thank you. That's it. Even though a group may think one thing, I remember being in a writing group. I do this spec script for a TV show called Boston Legal. It started, who did it start? I started Captain Kirk. What's his name? William Shatner. And, was it? Anyways, William Shatner and this other big actor. And I wrote a script where the other big actor, his character, farts in the first 5 minutes in the huge high-end lawyer office. And 9 people in my writer group said you can't do that, but one person goes, "No, I think you can, because you're breaking the rules. This is gonna peak out." And that script got me to the finals of an ABC Disney fellowship, finals to another writing fellowship. Like, it stood out because it was something that everybody said I couldn't do, and I'm like, you can do it.
Sure.
You can break rules, and you should, because those are the things that actually get noticed, is when somebody breaks a rule, if you do it correctly and effectively. So that's what.
Sure.
So even though a whole group may be saying one thing, you have to listen to what they're saying and going, okay, that's not exactly right for me, but I can sort of sift through what they're saying and maybe pick something that it will be constructive to me.
Yeah, I think also, I don't know exactly all the reasons, but like
James Spader, that was his name.
okay.
I'm sorry.
Also, I don't know all the reasons, but I think one of the reasons that I'm like trying to go in a different direction is that let's just approach at another angle and see how that goes.
Is it because your old angle is not working as effectively as it was?
Well, you've heard of the term open micer.
Yeah. Is that what you got labeled down here?
Like even though I work at a comedy club, I get on, or at least I was getting on shows here.
Here's the thing: everybody's open micer until you're not. So you're how many years in now?
So 6. So I guess this is starting to be year 7.
Okay. Yeah. And you're still working and figuring your shit out.
Yeah.
So you get gigs, right? You get feature gigs or opening gigs or hosting gigs at other places?
Just like independent shows.
Good. No, that's good. See, the thing for me was last year, I got the most headlining. People asked me to headline their shows. The most that I've ever had, it was like 25 times. The most I've ever had since I've come back. They were all independent shows. But that just means I went up a level. I was getting booked on a lot of shows and as opening and feature, and now I got booked way more as a headliner. So that means people have more confidence in me. They know I can hold it down. I can do anywhere from 20 to an hour, whatever that means. It means that I am leveling up. It's all about levels. So you are leveling, as long as you keep leveling up, you keep moving up a little bit more. It's cumulative. And all these hours that we're doing, and yes, we're all an open micer until we're not, until all of a sudden somebody goes, come on the road with me, or why don't you go do that, and that kind of stuff. And you're working at a comedy club, it's great. You have access to a lot of comedy people that get paid to do work on the road. And the best thing you could do is just take advantage of, like, hey, that was great, any advice or whatever. Like, I'm sure you're doing to the people that you respect. You're like, hey, like, is there anything you can help? That's how we all get through. Because they were all open micers too at one point. Nobody steps on that stage a headliner. Ever. Ever. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
I hope I'm not going too hard on you. My dad's a coach, my mom was a coach, and I'm always, I got this coach vibe, and I go hard on people. I'm like, you can do it!
I just have to, like, think about, trying to, like, interview you.
I know, but
about me.
That's
I think
okay.
You're giving great advice. But also, remember, people, this is also advice that you can take if you find yourself in this situation.
Here's my tissue. I was saying that.
So when did we meet?
We might have met at a mic drop open mic.
Okay. Sounds right.
It's something down here.
Yeah.
I was like, when I first came back, I still do. I want to play every stage, but I was doing a lot of driving down to Orange County and San Diego, just getting part of the scene, just trying to get myself like in front of everybody I could. So I think when I was doing that, I think we were at a couple of open mics, and then I probably reached out to you because I reached out to a lot of people to do their shows, and then you booked me on your Quantum show. But we had probably done, maybe we did a Chris Williams show. I don't, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I just ask that to everybody. I don't always know the answer.
Yeah. You don't remember either, right?
No, but that sounds about right.
Yeah.
So do you have any hobbies or passions that aren't related to comedy?
Besides being a screenwriter, I hike a lot. My beloved Runyon just caught on fire. And I live right by it. And I was on my apartment complex watching it burn. But I had a feeling they were going to contain it. I wasn't too worried. And the stuff that burned was like this. Runyon is a lot of like this. So the trails go on the ridges. So there's a lot of parts you can't get to because it's steep banks. And that's what burned mostly. I'm just worried when the rains come that it's going to wash away some of these ridge trails. Sure. I call every other day to be like, is it open yet? They're like, not yet. There is a fire road they did a couple of years ago. They fixed the water. There's a water main that runs through there. They fixed that, and then they paved it and made it a fire road. So that part, you could see all the fire trucks. So I don't think the fire got there. So that should be fine. That shouldn't be destroyed at all. So that's the main path. I think they're probably up there trying to maybe upgrade the ridge trails that come off of it, because those are pretty precarious. They're not great. A lot of people will get airlifted out of there because they've broken their ankles or stuff. I also love swap meets, like flea market swap meets. That was one thing that connected my ex-husband and I, because he grew up, his parents were, first generation immigrants here. And so his parents were selling at swap meets, to make ends meet. So he spent a lot of time, and he loves a bargain. And so we bonded that way, but we were both doing it separately before we met each other. So it was great. That kind of stuff. If I get stuck, if I'm sick or anything, I needlepoint. That's a whole thing. That's a family. I've come from a long line of crafters. Coming back to, I did a lot of hobbies when I wasn't doing comedy. So when I came back to comedy, I was like, I can let probably 90% of these hobbies go, because I was filling a void that I was okay with filling. But now that I want to come back to comedy, I'm obsessed. I just eat, drink, and bleed comedy. Well, I don't bleed anymore, but I eat, drink, and vomit comedy now. And it's very satisfying. But when I need a break, I will write, I will hike, and I will go to swap meets.
Oh, cool.
What do you do?
Play video games.
Mm-hmm.
I do some hiking. I actually hike every Saturday right now.
Oh, cool.
And I go on a hike at Cowles Mountain on Saturdays, and then I go to Quantum Brune right after.
Oh, great. Okay.
And I'm trying to I'm also passing out flyers.
Right. I love it.
And a high percentage of people, a higher percentage of people, take the flyer.
Great. Do you see them then? Did you see them?
Yeah, there's been a few.
Great.
I'm sure there's been a few that I didn't even know that were from the hike.
Right.
Because it's funny when you try to ask people, oh, how did you hear about it? Was it a flyer or Eventbrite?
Right.
Or the meetup or whatever. Sometimes they all get shy.
Yeah.
And they don't want to talk about it. So I've learned to not ask during the show.
It's so funny. They get weird.
I know.
So weird.
I even say in there, show me, or when I was doing a donation-based ticket,
right.
I would be as long as you pay more than $1,
right.
Find me and I'll give you a shot glass or whatever. And people were donating, $5 and $10 and such, but no one asked for a shot glass. And it's is it because they didn't want the thing, or is it so embarrassing to go, I have a ticket, I donated ahead of time, you said I could get something.
That's so funny.
I also have to remember to last week, I remembered, oh yeah, I have stickers, to if someone really wants to oh, I want to give them money, but I'm not getting enough value or something. Here, have a sticker and donate money for a sticker.
I love it.
Yeah. So, that show, people already had donated, so then I was oh, just, put more money in if you want, or just take a free sticker.
Right.
But if I bring the sticker out at the beginning, then I can say, these are free stickers.
Right.
But it'd be nice if you donated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're ever here on a Saturday, early, then you can maybe go on a hike.
Oh, yeah. That would be good.
Yeah, trying to get comics to go, because here also it's a hike, and then we go to the brewery. I took over this this meetup group called Hike and Brew, where they would go on a hike and then they would go to a local brewery, in San Diego.
Right.
But then I was oh, I'm gonna add and fun, because I don't want to have it people think wait, no, I did the hike. I had a brew. Why is he asking me to stay longer? Did I tell him up front in the event, it's and fun. And I put it, and fun, it's just a general thing, because the idea too is like occasionally to like go on a hike and then go to like a trivia night or something, or a karaoke or whatever, because just to keep the group. But right now, I guess the time, it's about time. How much time do I have? Right. So do you have stickers, right?
I do have stickers, but I don't. I just sort of have them on me, so when there's a wall of sticker at a place, I put my sticker on there. Okay. I did put a bunch of stickers on notebooks, so if I headline a gig, I take my merch with me. Okay. People rarely buy it. Sure. So I have notebooks that have stickers that have a joke punchline on them. Oh. I don't necessarily always tell the jokes, so I just have to pick or choose, like if I'm going to tell a joke. If I'm doing a headlining gig, I try to do, there's 2 jokes. I try to do both jokes so that then people have them. I also have popcorn buckets, and I put I wrote my Instagram on there. But that's also a kind of thing where you kind of need popcorn there in order to incentivize people to buy the popcorn buckets. So I'll be in a situation someday where I could just be like, there's the popcorn and the buckets, $10, there you go, you're supporting comedy, thank you, kind of thing. So, and that would be a before kind of thing. But I haven't had the right scenario for those, so. But I have them, and that's fine. I'm glad. I bought them when I had money. I don't really have money right now, but I bought them when I had money, so now it's like, these things are never going to go out of style, notebooks or popcorn buckets. So, there you go. So it's fine.
Yeah, like I did, I was trying to do merch back in college, like 20 years ago, and I wish I had just kept doing it. But now, and also I'm doing like stuff that is not even just a joke on stage. It's just a joke that's funny, like this. Right. Yeah. So what does this say again?
The shirt underneath wants to tell you something, but I won't let it. I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, it's good.
So the idea is that there's all print on demand.
Yeah.
So it doesn't cost a lot.
Right.
To do. It's just time and then effort. Yeah. I mean, I guess to sell it, it's going to cost money for advertising or whatever.
Right.
Anyway, what is your favorite joke right now? It can be anybody's joke.
Oh. That's so funny, because I'll see a comic get up on stage, and I'll hope that they do my favorite joke, which is not necessarily everybody's favorite joke. Sure. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they'll even go, this is Wendy's favorite joke. And then they tell it, because I'm very vocal about like what I love about somebody. And like I said, I'm the daughter of coaches, so I'm always like, the people that are here's my thing. If you're kind off stage, I don't care how dog shit you are on stage, I'm still on your team, because you're kind off stage and you're trying your best. Yeah. If you are shitty off stage, but you're funny on stage, you're dead to me. I don't fucking give a shit what you got to talk about. So when there's somebody I like, especially somebody who's like younger or struggling, I always try to let them know what I think is funny. So that gives them a little bit of a boost. Like, this may not be my favorite joke right now, but my friend Mikey Silver does this joke where he goes, I'm going to do my impression of a bush. And then he goes, stop fucking in here. So like it just, and that's not even the whole joke, but like, he's just like, it makes me laugh so hard. The first time I heard it, and then the next 10 times I heard it, it still made me laugh that he's like, stop fucking in me. Like, it just, something simple like that will get me every time. If I don't see it coming, that's what makes me laugh. Yeah. If I don't see the punchline coming, if I don't see the premise coming, anything like that, or if you're telling your damn hard truth about you and you're making it like that, the pain is coming through the laughter, I'm with you 100%. So I don't have a joke per se. The one I love right now is the one that I'm telling is I'm talking about how I give off bus driver vibes, and then I talk about how a lot of even despite that, a lot of hot guys want to hook up with me, and then I go through this whole thing. So that's just saying, yeah, despite my bus driver vibes, it literally, like, I've gotten a like 30-second laugh with that. And that, you think 30 seconds isn't long. When you're on stage, getting people to laugh for 30 seconds on a premise that you just said is the best compliment. It is so great. It's so great.
I remember the first time where I got more laughs than I expected. And it was like, wait, what do I do?
I know. What did I do? What did I do?
How do I do that again?
I know. Yes.
That's cool. So do you have like a favorite fan interaction?
Besides the ones that want to hook up with me, the chuckle fuckers. I had a woman come up, and this happens a lot. Women of all ages will come up to me and they'll thank me because I'm very truthful about body and sex at my age and just, life in general, just the hard truths about being a woman. But I had a woman in her 20s go, you were saying everything that I write down in my journal on stage. And I was like, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. Because I just want any woman not to be ashamed about being a sexual being. That's my purpose on stage. So by being exactly who I am and talking about this stuff, she was saying, thank you, because you gave me permission. You said the things I can't say out loud. I can only write in a book. You were saying the things out loud that I always wanted to say out loud. And that connection, to be able to be a little bit of a mouthpiece, a little bit of a spokesperson for a lot of women, especially in American society, to not feel ashamed about who they are through my own self-deprecation, that is the best, most empowering thing I could do in this world. I'm grateful for it.
Right. Yeah.
How about you? What was your best?
I don't know, but let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Can we get more women on board pegging? To be adventurous and just to try it once? To see if they like it?
I'll have to talk to to my peeps. Can we start with fingers first, I guess?
Oh, yeah, of course. No, do not just like start at that from ground zero. It doesn't have to be every time.
No.
Anyway. So, what is your favorite place to do comedy?
I think an audience that doesn't know who I am.
Wow.
Like not even
That's gonna
like none of.
Wow, that's gonna be harder.
No, it is.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully, yeah. But even when I walk into a room where I don't know any of the comics, too. Yeah. I love that because the expectation when you see me is, oh, she's a Karen, or she's going to talk, she's not going to be funny because she's just a middle-aged white woman. And then immediately being able to disarm or change people's perceptions of you with just one line or one joke. Yeah. That is so incredible and powerful. So when I get on stage, I just did a 50-year-old's birthday party up in the Central Valley this weekend.
Oh, wow. And
other than the host and the other comics, not one person in that room knew who I was. And it wasn't a room, it was somebody's backyard. Sure. It was about 150 people. And getting on stage and immediately having them come to my side or be like, fuck yeah. It was within a joke. Within one joke, that's all I had to say. And they were with me the whole 20 minutes that I was up there. And it was incredible. So I love that. I don't love being in full of a room of my peers because everybody's kind of like, half of them are hoping you fail, and the other half are probably have heard a lot of your jokes. So then it's a really hard audience to get to laugh. Yeah. So for me, when it's just a bunch of people who don't know me, yeah, I love it. even other comics. Like, I'm here tonight. I'll do a bunch of mics. Most people don't know me. It's going to be so much fun, to like, get through it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. But how do you get better in LA when you're not going in front of, at least for open mics, don't go in front of regular people?
So for me, my journey was, I just did every open mic I could in LA till I got part of, like, figured out the scene and stuff, and new mics come and go. Sure. So I always just try to do them. I do that, and then I would once a week or twice a week go outside of LA, drive Inland Empire or up north a little, Ventura County, or where, OC, South Bay, wherever. So I go outside and then work on it. A whole different crowd of comics, whole different crowd of, like, local people. Then I started to book, like, a lot of little shows, like dive bar shows, breweries, other independent shows like that. And then it's just cumulative. And even though you're going in front of a bunch of comics all the time, it pushes you to go, okay, how do I get comics to pay attention to me? Because it's only going to make me better when I get in front of a regular audience. So I don't need their approval. I also don't even need their laughs, because being on stage in a mic or even dive bar shows, it's you practicing. It's you figuring out how to tell a joke and how to deliver it the best way possible in the shortest amount of words, the biggest punch. But if you can raise your stakes to be able to make the hardest people in an audience laugh, then you know you're doing something good.
Right. Okay.
But if you're up there just fucking around, no one's gonna have any respect for you.
Right.
Like, you have to constantly go, okay, how do I make this funnier? Like I said, how do I funnier than the last time I got on stage?
The next question would be, when you're traveling outside of the area, do you ever run into other comics that are in LA doing the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a handful of people that we're all just chomping at the bit, trying to do as many mics and shows as possible, because we just want to get really good at it.
Sure.
Because the big goal for me, and it's the only goal I've had, because I had loftier goals the first time around and they got smashed. So I said, the only big goal I have is to have comedy pay for my life eventually. That's the only one. And, like last year, I didn't make as much as I did the year before, but the year before I made a substantial amount. I was happy about it. Last year I made $2,000 less, but that's still okay. I still made money from doing stand-up, from talking, which means there's potential for me to make money enough to live on. So I'm just going to keep trying my best. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Nice. I think you talked about that a little bit. Let's see. What is your earliest memory?
I'm from upstate New York. We lived in this log cabin house. It was in the middle of winter. My mom, I think, we were playing outside. We're all wrapped up, my brother and I. My mom went inside, I think, to take care of my brother, and I wandered off into this little bit of woods that there was a pond in there. And our dog, Gruncy, followed me and then kept me from the water. And I remember my mother rushing to get me, like you've seen that scene in a movie, grabbing the kid. And I was like, Gruncy keeps bothering me. And she's like, but Gruncy basically was saving my life, so from falling into the water. So that's my first memory. I think I was about 3.5, 4. Wow. That's my first memory. So that's pretty significant. I have a few others from that time, but that was the very first one.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Good dog.
Yeah, I know, right? And my mom must have been upset enough for me for it to imprint in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Let's see. So, what's the biggest audience you've performed for?
I did a opening guest spot at the Irvine Improv for Ian Bagg, and it was 350 some people. So that was pretty incredible. And it felt like I was talking to 10 people. It was great.
Nice.
Like, I was not intimidated at all. It was awesome. Hearing laughter from all the way in the back, it was great. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So would you ever do like a character on stage?
I think I've tried in the past. It doesn't work for me. It's not genuine. It's me on stage is a heightened version of me in real life. So it's sort of like I am doing a character anyways. I've gotten a lot this past year. I got a lot of people who asked me to be in their like web series, to star in their like little shorts and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, that's a vote of confidence. People can see my stage and go, oh, she could do more. Like, she could do what I think we need her to do. So I played different versions of characters and stuff of me, and it was pretty cool that that's happening. Because even when I was trying to be an actor, none of that ever happened. So now when I'm not trying, it's happening. So, which is good.
Yeah. Well, you're up on stage pretending to be a comic. I mean, you are a comic, but you're also pretending to be a comic.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So have you ever won like a comedy contest or anything like that?
Yeah, so back in the day, before there was a physical flappers club, and before I think it was even called Uncle Clyde's Comedy Contest, I was the second year winner of Uncle Clyde's Comedy Contest. First year was Bill Dwyer, and then I won it the next year. And
how far into comedy were you?
Not very far. I was only like year 4 or 5. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. And like I said, I got 3rd place in college for that. And then I haven't really won anything since. I've done festivals and I've gotten a few Best of the Fest, but I don't like it. I don't like comedy being a competition. Because everybody has a different version of what they think is funny.
Oh, yeah.
And it just is it's too weird to compete in that kind of way.
Sure.
And sure, yeah, you'll get some prestige, but I don't know, it feels dirty. I don't like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So what's your like best booking story? Either you booked someone on your show or vice versa. You got booked on, oh my God, I can't believe I got this show. Ian took me on the road once, which was great. Somebody couldn't do it, and then he's like, "You want to do it?" And so we drove in a car up to like Bakersfield and Visalia, and I opened for him, featured for him for 3 different shows, and it was really like, I felt like a legitimate comic when that happened, like seriously legitimate comic when that happened, being asked to be on the road with somebody. And that's, it's a goal, is to always just be on the road. That's why I don't have animals. I want to be able to go on any kind of thing. Sure.
I'm just grateful whenever I can get out. Like, maybe I don't have a dream booking yet, and that's why I'm a little bit hesitant, but I'm like, going on the road is incredible.
That was a good story.
Oh, okay, great.
I'm surprised when people tell me their story and you can answer the question. No, it's good. So what's the worst thing about comedy right now?
They're the new kids who have come up with social media, and within months they think they should be booked on shows. And I'm like, 1, you don't even know who you are on stage. 2, you don't even know how to write a joke. But yet you're sitting there trying to get booked on stage instead of trying to be funny. It's the clout fuckers. It's the people who think, if I make this connection, that's going to get me or make me famous or get me on bigger stages than I have earned yet.
Right.
mouth for ambition, but if you don't have the freaking funny behind you, you're gonna hit a level, and people are only gonna see you that way.
And it also hurts comedy.
It does.
Somebody that's really famous on TikTok,
right?
They go and they book these shows, and then
they tank. They don't have the goods.
Everybody else does good,
right?
And they do bad.
Yeah.
And then it makes comedy look bad.
Yeah. Try being a female comic and watching terrible female comics who get these bookings, get on stage, and then people go, yeah, we've always said women aren't funny, and then because they're getting these fucking opportunities and they're not funny yet. Go get funny first and then go. Like, you're making us all look bad. You're playing into that goddamn stereotype that women aren't funny.
Sure, but I think it's a catch-22 because say that only the best female comics are getting the good opportunities, or there's also like you can't be on every show.
No, that's not what happening. Right.
No, I'm not saying you're saying that.
Yeah. No, but I understand what you're saying.
But you know what I mean? Like that. We have to get over this hump, right? And I don't know the future. I don't know if we're ever going to get there.
Yeah.
We got to get it to where there's, way more women in comedy, to where it's easier to just not even have to think about, I got to book a woman on this.
But how many shows have you done, including this place? How many shows have you done where it's 95% males and one or maybe two females? That's part of the problem, is that the gatekeepers think, I have one woman on the show, or one black person, or one person of color on the show, or one gay person, then it's all good. And then the rest are white males. And we are constantly fighting for one spot. You guys have multiple spots. We're constantly fighting for spots. And if you have somebody who is good at getting into those spots but is not funny, and then it takes it away from all of us. So that's a whole bigger other issue.
Also, you have to understand I guess I don't know if there's really anybody understands the whole picture, because there's all the gatekeepers, right?
Yeah.
And say, I don't know how much communication they're having. I'm not saying that there's some conspiracy, but they're each like booking, and they're also booking out for different places, are booking further than other places, right?
Yeah.
And there's only so many spots available,
right?
And yes, it's bad if the gatekeeper is going, they should be saying who's the funniest people that are available to be on every show, and not go, I have enough of X.
Right. But also, those people, the gatekeepers, tend to put their friends and their pals and the people that have schmoozed them and all that other stuff. So that doesn't necessarily mean the funniest people are getting those spots. But there are funny people in all walks of life, and not just white males.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So if you have a variety on your show, you're going to have a better show. So if you are a gatekeeper or a booker, or have a show, and you're not thinking through that way, then you're missing an opportunity to not only to have a great show, but also grow your audience.
Sure. This is probably a unique thing to me, but right now, forever since I started doing quantum brewing, I thought all these people are going to be hitting me up, and I have to start turning people away.
Right.
But I have to constantly remind people, hey, this show is every Friday and every Saturday. Nobody's asking to be on the show.
Except for me. I'm going to be there this Friday. I don't know when this is coming out.
Yeah, it's probably good. In February.
Oh, okay. I was there.
And it was great.
Yes.
But so I had to think of ways of like, now it's like an email list.
Right.
There are spots available.
Right.
Grab your spot.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that's crazy is that the Friday show, more comics come, but on Saturday there's tends to be more real people.
Oh, all right, that's interesting.
So it's like
I
can't figure out how to get more comics on the Saturday.
Right, I get
it's
it.
Like, there's comics that are like, oh, I don't do comedy on Saturdays.
Saturdays is that's the one that's Friday and Saturdays are I'm alone now, and I'm happy I'm alone. The only time I get lonely are Friday and Saturday nights between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m.
Wow.
And those are the times I want most to be doing stand-up, because I don't want to be out in the middle doing nothing. If I had a regular situationship, it would be another thing. I'd be fine, come over and then take care of business, but I don't. So it's okay. I try to keep myself busy with friends or other activities. So I think that's because we're not big, comics getting the huge paid gigs on the weekends. So Saturday tends to be the loneliest night of the week for a comic, because other than doing an independent show, if you got nothing else going on, what do? I'm sure there's a hangout here up in LA. There's a hangout at the Improv or the Comedy Store. Sometimes the Laugh Factory.
The problem on Friday, Saturday is that there's 2 shows. So the open mic and the hangout don't start till midnight. Right.
So, yeah. We don't really have anything that late. So.
Wow. You guys gotta step it up.
We used to, but that club closed down. So there's a few things, but not a lot.
Yeah, but I bet there's shows that start at 10 though, right?
Yeah, sometimes. Huh. Yeah, depends on, the different things.
So there's no LA weekend shows that start at 10 o'clock?
No, there is.
Oh.
But you can't always get booked on them every week. Sure. You know what I mean? So.
Okay, that makes sense.
There's not a ton of mics on Friday night or Saturday night either in LA.
Right, it's only the Madhouse. It's not like not like a lot of other clubs. The Madhouse is the only club that I know of that's doing an open mic 7 nights a week.
Got it.
You know?
Yeah.
But it works out for me too. It's like the Quantum Brewing is before that.
Perfect. That works.
Yeah. Let's see. So, have you ever been in a car accident?
Yeah, I've been in a bunch. During the pandemic, I've worked for this family I just did this yesterday. I worked for this family for 25 years, and they have a second home in Park City, Utah. They don't fly their dogs because their dogs are big dogs, and they'd have to go under cargo, and that's too dangerous. But they also need, they have a Sprinter van. So, and they use it because they are skiers and campers and stuff. So, about 4 or 5 times a year, I will either drive the van with the dogs up to Park City, or I get flown there and drive back. So yesterday I got flown there, and I drove the dogs in the van back to LA.
Wow.
And I had done that. It's an 18-hour day. It's easy day. I got in my car at LAX after I got flown back, and I was driving home going, hey, I should probably get sushi. And a car ignored me coming this way. I didn't see him till I was in the intersection, caught in front of me. Bam, murdered my car. I got a huge thing on my knee. That's the worst accident I had. And then he tried to blame me, but I got videotape from both gas stations, and I won that case. Wow. And then I had a Jeep Cherokee that I bought, my first brand new car. I had it for 20 years. I got murdered by a Tesla, but the Tesla had to get hauled away, and I drove my car home. So that tells you something there. So yeah. But a bunch of other accidents. So yeah, so far so good.
All right, cool. How do people get a hold of you on social media?
Mainly Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm rethinking Facebook after this last brouhaha with, the government and Zuckerberg. I know they own Instagram, but Instagram, that's where I post all my shows, and that's where the most, information you get. And I get clips on there too. So you can get me at Instagram at Wendy Jean, WendyJean.
Yeah.
And and That's the main one. You should just go there. I don't have any Twitter anymore. I got rid of that. Facebook, I don't really care about. And yeah, I'm on LinkedIn if you can find me.
There you go.
I had a guy ask me out through LinkedIn. He saw me at a show down here at Cash Comedy at the Pally Wine Bar, and then contacted me on Instagram or on LinkedIn. Hey, we should hang out. And I was like, thanks, but no thanks.
Wow, that's cool. So you're getting people hitting on you from shows?
Yeah, it happens about once a week. It's either other comics or audience people.
Must be nice.
Well, I've tried. Yeah, it does. I'm not interested usually. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's see.
You'll get hit on. If you haven't already, you will get hit on eventually.
Yeah, good forward to it. Let's see. Okay. So is there just anything else that you want to talk about?
No, this has been great. I'm grateful that I get to like.
Well, thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me, Aaron. I adore this man. He's wonderful.
Yay.
Yay.
Cool. Okay. So we're stopping. I'll do the quick promo.
Okay, great.
This has been Comedy or Work.